Hey Virgo, this is your reading for the month of May, your tarot reading. This is a general reading, so please take what resonates, leave the rest. And it's fluid, so time's fluid, energy's fluid, so, if you're coming to this reading and you may need to hear it, 3 months from now, hey, that might be when you need it. And things change. So as we make our decisions, as we choose our paths, the circumstances change. So, but this is just a general reading as far as energy coming through for the month of May for Virgos. I will also say, the way I do it is I start with basically letting you know the vision I got for you during my meditation time. And then from there I go to oracle or tarot cards and oracle cards. As far as the vision I got for you, generally it's like droplets. I just see like almost like, not net really, but like the idea of like moisture in the air and it being like little droplets, like individual little pieces and areas. And energetically speaking, I mean, that can mean so many different things. As far as, you could be, there's an element of like it being kind of like in its own realm, if that makes sense. So it's like you might walk around and you just kind of like hit these droplets. And some of them, it could be a really good droplet thing where it's like, it's cleansing, healing, but also it could be not scary, but hard at first, because again, cleansing things sometimes remove things that are, on their way out or need to be removed. So a lot of times this energy you could be dealing with, you just like keep getting bombarded with like little reminders of this healing that's needed or this healing that keeps happening. But it almost feels like little like onion layers, if that makes sense, getting pulled from you like constantly. And so some of you are kind of overwhelmed by it, I can tell. But some of you also, it's in a really good space. Like when I first tapped into your energy, like I felt really clearing, if that makes sense. Like not clearing like clarity, but just like an opening, like open breath of fresh air, basically. I don't know how to describe it. I get that feeling with some things sometimes, and I'm not really sure how to describe it though. But it's a good thing. It's healing, cleansing, open. I don't know how else to say. Also, I do feel there may be a small amount of you. I mean, I know during the whole COVID thing, but even outside of that, there might be a small amount of you that have kind of struggled with the idea of like, say like if those droplets are like, they might see those droplets, even say if they're good too, who knows. But even if they're not, either way, there might be a group of you that have kind of struggled with the idea that like if there's germs or sicknesses or diseases in that way, like the droplets, almost like, when you sneeze. But the thing is part of that fear is coming from, like I said, the idea of it being in its own realm. It's kind of like for me personally, like if I pet an animal that say is scary, but not, well, maybe dangerous, but not in that moment, like it's controlled situation, I'm going to be less scared, touching it, whatever, in its cage, if I'm told, if I'm shown that that'll be okay, than if it just suddenly shows up in my bed or suddenly shows up on my desk, like when I'm going into its realm and I know it's safe, I feel more confident in my position with it than if it just suddenly shows up in mine. And that's kind of the way it is. It feels like some of you that are dealing with issues with germs or fears of things like that, you might be dealing with a situation where it's not so much about the germ or even the danger in that itself. It's your lack of control. Yeah, your lack of control in that situation, or your observed lack of control, or your Sorry, my cat's like going around right now. Your not observed, but basically thought lack of control, like what you perceive, your perceived, that's the word, your perceived lack of control. And that's kind of where that has lied as far as, sorry, my cat's trying to get out, hold on. But that's kind of where that's lied as far as, for you, if, you know, you're in that group of people where it's a fear situation. Also, sometimes, even if they're perceived as fears or things like germs per se, a lot of times those are still cleansing because that builds up our immunity. So even symbolically speaking, you could be going through something where you're dealing with things that are pulling back layers, onions, you know, as far as fears in you, as far as things you've dealt with, as far as wounds. And it seems kind of treacherous sometimes, when it's for some of you, but it's also a situation where the more you go through it and the more wisdom you gain in those situations and the more light is shed on that in your own life, in your own path, and your own past, some of you, the more it becomes an actual cleansing experience. It ends up being cleansing. It ends up, you know, building your immunity per se, you know, if that makes sense. I hope that's, you know, making sense. Regardless, let's just jump into the tarot. I usually don't go that far into the visions, or at least that, you know, trying to figure out what they mean and everything before. But, so yeah, this is the Hush Tarot deck here. I'll show you the cover. It's one of my favorite decks. It's kind of dark, but it's also the whole theme is various states of decay. But there's also like, what's it called? My gosh. Okay, so I'm at a loss of for words today, apparently, and everything it's been. There's like an intimacy in it. I don't know, I really love this deck. Spirit God, Universe, what message do you have for Virgos for the month of May? Especially in regards to the vision so far. What do they need to hear for May? What message do you have for Virgos for the month of May? Yeah, it's one of my favorites. I haven't gotten to use it a ton yet, though. But every time I have been using it, I really like it. And I don't read reversals, so. Yeah, I'll just do that. I just had a feeling. I don't think that makes a difference, but whatever. Let's do 3. Yeah, 3. And I'll show you guys the cards too. Oh, okay. So the 4 of Pentacles, the 3 of Swords, and Queen of Pentacles. That's crazy. Okay. So, yeah, 4 of Pentacles is generally, it's kind of a building up, like, you know, it's community, but it's also building a foundation. Especially, it's interesting, like, he's on a foundation. It's interesting. And Pentacles is also very much about, or as if this is Pentacles, but it's not. But these two are, about material things, wealth, financial, and then the Swords it's mental and verbal. So it's thought-based and verbal, also communication. It's interesting how the communication is flanked by 2 pentacles. I feel like there's importance in that. Because it's, okay, so 4 of Pentacles is what I said. You know, it's foundational, it's building a foundation, but also community, connecting with other people. It's building it up, but it's really, it's also, it's holding on. Like 4 of Pentacles is you're holding on to, you know, finances, wealth, whatever. And in a sense that sometimes you're kind of closing the door for new things to come. So it's like this mentality, like it's not so much an abundance mentality. It's actually, I mean, it's the opposite, because you feel like what you have is the best that you can have, that you are going to get. The 3 of Swords is, I mean, it's heartbreak, grief. A lot of times too, though, it's, you know, you're coming out of it. And so you're getting to a point that you're, you know, supposed to move forward, basically take what you've learned and move forward now and grow. But a lot of times it can be being stuck in that. So some of you might be having trouble with the fact that, you know, this is time to move forward, or, you know, allowing yourself that time to grieve, but also not being so stuck in it that that becomes your new identity, if that makes sense. But yeah, so it's funny. The one being stuck is flanking, not stuck, but like stuck, holding your stuff, holding on to it, is flanking with the Queen of Pentacles. And Queen of Pentacles is its influence in the material. So it's like, you know, taking care of this, taking care of people, taking care of, but it's always like the creature comforts. So it's like being that person to where it's like whatever, you know, like if you look at it, even in this card, like it's like very like, it looks like, it reminds me like a I mean, it's not this outfit for it, but it just reminds me like a 1950s housewife that's just like, you know, going through the motions. So it's like what's flanking this heartbreak is just this like, okay, I'm going to hold on and do with what I can, use what I can, not use what I can. I mean, maybe some of you it is use what you can, because that's what you think that's all you're going to get, but really like hold on to what I have right now, you know, but not in a good mentality, but rather like in a, like, just like greedy, like, I don't know, like he's holding this, he's holding, like, it's almost like, I'm trying to see. Yeah, it's like this thing is wrapped in this. For some of you too, it's like the more you hold on to something, so this might be your pattern with people or even with energy in general. The more you hold on, the more it wraps itself in itself and it becomes kind of unrecognizable. So it's like it's almost like the idea of like when you hold on to, I feel like saying a person. So, but this is a Pentacles, this is generally finances, but let's say when you hold on to somebody and you have your own idea of who they are, but your own. So it's like you've put your, not depiction, but your, what's that word I'm looking for? Oh my gosh. Your idea of who they are, and you've like, that's grown so much stronger sometimes than who they actually are, because you're holding on so tight that it almost doesn't let them breathe. And that's in a relationship situation or connections in general. But even like if you think about like, if for those of you that this is finances, when you hold on to something so much and it's like the moment, like say like you look out and you see the prospects today as far as financial and everything and what's possible today, right? And you hold on to that. You hold on to that for dear life. Like, okay, this is what I see. This is what's going to happen. You know, I'm so sure of it. I'm so sure, you know, I have such faith in this. You can have faith in it all you want, but those were the prospects for today. If tomorrow you're still holding on for today's prospects, then you're limiting yourself and you're like holding it to be this picture of something it's not really, because now it's a new day. And that's the whole idea of like not allowing something to grow or to be blessed further in it or change or whatever, you know, whatever it is, because you're holding on to your, I want to say ideology, ideation, whatever of it. If that makes sense. And then this is the same way. It's like Queen of Pentacles. It's the things that you can, the creature comforts, the things that you can control. So it's like you've limited yourself as far as what you can work with things, whether it's the energy financially, excuse me, I have to sneeze. or even relationally for some of you. And just, you know, when you're connecting with people, when you're connecting, you've limited it to only what you know and the information you have and that picture at that moment. And that's because you're in this wounded state. You've been in this wounded state of, well, this might happen again. What if this happens again? This is the best it's going to get, you know? And that's kind of why you haven't moved out of this, because to move out of this is to believe that there's something more. Does that make sense? I hope that's making sense for you guys. Let me look if there's anything I'm missing intuitively too. It's funny because there's these, like, it's almost like the bones or whatever from this creature. And then there's this ribbon around this. And it feels very, like, similar. Like, in doing this, it's like when you're wounded, when you have these, I was going to say spikes, but these swords in you, or spears, whatever. You know, you can be stuck in that mentality. And then as you get stuck in that mentality, you hold on, just like I'm kind of trying to make these, show the parallel between these. As you hold on to this moment, then you kind of create more webs of it. And it just makes it stuck at that. Whereas, excuse me. So even if it was a good situation or a good moment, tomorrow, next week, months later, you might have better moments or be given or are ready for better moments, but you're too busy stuck here, if that makes sense. So really it's saying that this is where it's come from the three of swords, from that grief place, but you've kind of limited yourself, a lot of you. As far as in relation to the vision, again, yeah, it's like, okay, I'm going to read it both ways. So for those of you where it's droplets, and not droplets of, you know, unhealthy, whatever, bacteria, but just literally water droplets, cleansing. You've been used to the pain, and so when you see this stuff coming at you, you're kind of just like in this realm of, it's got to be what I know, and it's getting annoying, and I almost feel like for some of you it's like numbing to make you go into the place of like going through the motions. But the only reason it's numbing is because you're still here deep down. If you get out of this, then you'll come to a place to where you expect life, and so it won't be so numbing, because it won't be like, it won't reaffirm your fears and your worries, if that makes sense. Then, so yeah, I mean, that's why I hope that's making sense. And then as far as for those of you worried about sickness and famine or whatever, you know, just as far as like bad things coming at you, and, you know, or like I said, bacteria, it's because you're looking at it from the paradigm of what you know. I think it was last month. It might have been last month. I had a I did another reading for you guys, where, and I'm going to mention this because usually I don't go into it, but this, I can actually see it more, where the main thing was, if you want better, I'm trying to remember it so I don't misquote myself or anything, but basically, you were in a really good place, and good things are coming, and everything's growing, and you're healing in a lot of areas. But the healing that you're moving into, and the growth and the new possibilities, aren't going to look like anything you've ever been in. So if you stay in the mentality of always expecting something that you've been in, even the good stuff, like your idea, like what's coming for you, is a totally, doesn't follow the rules even, I'm going to say, of your past or how stuff worked for you before. And that's kind of the same thing. It's like you've been stuck in this mentality. Now for this reading, this wound, this grief, some of you guys may be dealing with heartbreak right now, and you've just kind of been stuck there and you don't know how to move forward, because moving forward just looks like tending to things that are familiar, or tending to things as you would when dealing with familiar things. But the thing is what's to come to get you out of this, the new light. Like there's even like light, and there's, I don't know, there's normally this card has the heart, and it has the three swords through it, and then it has like clouds in the background, which signifies, the clouds signify, you know, lost in your thoughts. I mean, mentally, this is a mental thing. So a lot of you, this is what you're doing on the mental side, and this is what is coming here. Or you might be talking yourselves down too. But there's also, if I remember correctly with that card, there's sun a lot of times. So there's like this prospect that once you get out of this, you'll be able to move forward. But it's a matter of understanding that there's more for you than this moment in time. Even if you do need to heal and tend to what has caused this pain and tend to who you are and basically kind of your rebirth, you still need to have the belief in that there's more for you. So yeah, I really feel like that's what it is. It's this is this, and this is what's like exuding out of you, but it's because of this. And part of that is just because you've been stuck in this mentality of what's to come is going to look like the past, whether that means it's going to be as bad as the past, whether that means it's going to be just limited to how great things were before, or whether that's going to be, you know, that's what you need to look for. Like what's to come isn't in your vocabulary. Like it's not something you understand at this point because it's never been part of your paradigm. You've gone through this. I want to say some of you have gone through this so that you can build a new paradigm, so that you can come out of this rebirth and start building a new paradigm, start working on yourself and working on basically, a lot of inner healing so that you're able to receive the love, receive the opportunities that the universe has for you. A lot of self-love too. Like you're going to be growing a lot. I'll show you the bottom deck card. Let's see. So as far as this, the whole thing that this is about, Five of Swords. So Five of Swords is, Five of Swords is, generally it's kind of fighting a losing battle, but it's not fighting a losing battle like hopeless, but rather like I'm so obsessed with this mentally that I'm just going to keep going with this. Like, this is what I'm going to do. I'm putting my stuff out there. It doesn't matter like if this is, going to work or not, but it's a kind of an obsessive mentality. You see like all the tangling with the snake. It's funny too. I mentioned the snake earlier. Like when you deal with a snake, I'm trying to go back to my vision and think of what I said about it. So when you're dealing with a snake, or it wasn't a snake. Okay, well when I said a creature, I was talking about a snake. I just didn't want to say it because some people love snakes. And so like to hear about like, a snake being scary, like they wouldn't be able to relate. So I didn't give it a name. But anyways, it was a snake. But I don't know if it was the idea that it's my realm versus their realm. And this is funny because it's like all wrapped up in it, and just, it's interesting. I don't know if it was related to that, but yeah, so it's putting in everything. And I feel like sometimes in doing that, you're working with just what you have at that moment. So like, it's like the Five of Swords, like if you're working but with other people, energetically, with people, whatever, even verbally, mentally, whatever, and you're putting stuff out there, you're putting your stuff out there, you're only working with what you can see, what they've either spoken to you or what you're thinking they're saying. So you're only working from your perspective at that moment, if that makes sense. And so that's why it's like, this is like just that moment in time being stuck in and working with just what you can. And some of you, like, this is still good to be here, but you can't be coming from here. Like, you can't be having that be the heart of it. Yeah, it's okay that you've dealt with this. It's okay. There's nothing wrong that you need to tend to yourself in this. That's perfect. But you always have to know that there's more. There's more for you. And this is just part of your journey. So yeah. But really a lot of this is a mental thing for you guys. And it is a matter of not just throwing your stuff out there and trying to, some of this too is like checking what sticks type thing, but almost like in an obsessive way. And yeah, it's not even about that, because part of that is believing that your paradigm is all there is. And it's like, this is way bigger than that. Like, I hope I'm explaining that correctly. Like, let me see if there's anything else. I mean, this is wrapping that there, the wrap there. Like, everything is so wrapped in. Like, I mean, this deck in general is a little bit, but it's interesting how always the ribbons or the things, like, yeah. So normally I do just one oracle deck, but for you guys, I got a feeling to do, why is this deck card? What? Okay, that was weird. I don't know. I think I just moved this and this stayed. So I'll show this. You guys got an extra card, I guess? I don't know. We'll see. Three of Cups. Yeah, some of you, this is in your relation, your idea in relating. And in order to move forward, to be able to have that emotional release and that connection with others, you have to come out of this in a growth mentality. So you can move. It's funny though, like the poles through them, so it's like, it's almost like a merry-go-round situation. It's like this one doesn't have it. And I get the idea that like she could be looking and being like, well, this one's limited, but this one's going. And it's like, it's almost like when you're with other people, how, you know, you can even in social media, you know, you can get in the habit of like accidentally comparing yourself and then limiting yourself, like almost like you halt your growth when you start limiting yourself to other people, because it starts becoming about your value is dependent on them in regards to, or you in regards to them, or you in relation to them. And it's like, so it feels like if you stay in this mentality, not only are you going to do this, but you're going to be on the dark part of this, which is comparing yourself. Whereas if you grow and come out of this mentality, it's going to feel like literally like effortless, like a merry-go-round, like it's moving itself. So yeah, there's like a shadow side to that and a light side to that. And the shadow side for you guys, I'm seeing, is part of being in this and being stuck in that is going into compare mode of, well, everyone else has it freer. They seem so much freer than me. And instead you need to take that and say, okay, well then that means I can be free. So that means I'm able to do this. So I'm going to love on myself because I deserve this. Not because other people have it and I don't, but rather I deserve this. And this is amazing. Like, be inspired. Use that to inspire you rather than, and some of you, that's what you need to hear. You need to hear to start seeing the freedom that you see other people have as inspiring, but not get stuck in that. Like, basically take it to this place and say, okay, then that means that there's a sun there. That means that there's light. That means that there's guidance. I'm growing. I'm gonna grow. This is amazing, you know? That type of thing. So yeah, that literally just like stayed on the end. I was like, I guess I'll open it. Apparently, universe wanted you to have 5 cards. But as I was saying, usually I do one deck of oracle cards, but this one, like every time I would feel out energetically, like if I was supposed to do this one, it was these two. And this is the mini versions of these two. But I would feel out if I'm supposed to do this one versus, and then like feel other cards, and nothing was going for me. Nothing was like, everything was like a no, complete no. And then I did the same with this one. Everything was a complete no. But then like I accidentally, what I had was I was looking at this one or this one, I can't remember which one. And then like I looked at that one with the other one in mind and said, oh wait, I hope you guys can see this. Oh my gosh. But I looked at this one with the other one in mind. And then like suddenly everything was like showing me, okay, this is for this. And I was like, okay, so I'm supposed to do both. Yeah, but it's interesting. Interesting journey. Spirit, God, universe, what message do you have for Virgo in regards to this vision, in regards to the message so far? What does Virgo need to hear for the month of May? Okay, I'm going to say something. Because you've been in this situation and you've been here and you've kind of like done this, I've been perfectly fine talking all day. I'm a Virgo. Like, I'm a Virgo sun. Usually connecting to Virgos is the easiest thing for me. It feels the most home. I love it. But ever since I started doing your reading, I'm having trouble speaking. I'm having trouble with everything with that. I feel like this mentality, some of you guys are feeling like some of you are relearning your voice and re-getting your voice. But in that moment of reacquiring your voice, or, you know, growing a voice, new voice, to speak up for yourself, to know where you stand, to know who you are, sometimes there's moments of reminding you like how little of a voice you actually have, or how little of a voice you've been satisfied with having, if that makes sense. Whew, yeah, okay. So some of you are dealing with like those droplets of water are just like reminding you like what you've been settling for, both in your life, in your view of yourself. Like, some of you are really learning self-love, but before getting to fully learning the self-love, you're being shown like what you've really been doing to yourself. Oh, okay. I hope that resonates, because yeah, that's huge, and I can see it in this reading. And I've been perfectly fine talking all day, and then your guys' reading, and I'm just like, I can barely talk. But you guys are in a really good place. Like, there was that like breath of fresh air situation. So it's just a matter of like, in order to acquire, is that the word? Accept, take in the new that's coming to you right now. There's a lot of healing and a lot of sobering truth of what you've limited yourself to in yourself and your view of yourself. Spirit, God, universe, what message is Virgo? What do you have for Virgo for the month of May? Okay. Thank you. Okay. I'm gonna do one. Let's see. Skull of Flowers. Yeah, creating through the ashes. There you go. Like, you can be in the ashes. You can be in this place. You can be, you know, in a hardship, in grief. You know, there's nothing wrong with going through the motion, not going through the motions, but tending to your grieving self, to your grieving state. But in being there, you have to, if you want to go to that place, because some of you, it's a matter of like revisiting or re-remembering each time the droplets hit you, you know. But when you do that, you have to have the hope, you have to have the understanding of what there is for you, that there's new life for you. Yeah. I mean, look at this too. It's like all this like decay, and it's like, no, there's life. This is a cycle. It doesn't just end here. It keeps going forward and like repeating, and like, and not repeating in a bad way, but you know what I mean? Like, yeah. Spirit, God, universe, what message do you have for Virgo for the month of May? What does a Virgo need to hear for the month of May? In regards to the vision and the message so far, everything is Virgo need to hear for the month of May. What does Virgo need to hear for the month of May? Heal thyself. Of course. See, there you go. It's like, if you can't be in a place of like down like that, and like have that be okay in a good place, if you're not bringing hope into there, you know? Because like I said, some of you, it's revisiting pain. So it's not just like, oh, I mean, some of you, because some of you are still in it. Some of you encounter it full force every day right now. But for those of you that are revisiting it, I mean, in general, heal thyself. But for those of you that are revisiting it, you know, you've learned, you've grown so much already. You know, it's a matter of taking that healing and that viewpoint of there's better, there's more for me. It's not just this moment of these 4 coins, because normally the 4 of coins is very much about holding on. Like he's literally like holding up and down, like everywhere. It was like he's contorted his body to be able to hold all the coins he can. But it's like this greedy fear mentality of that's all that there is for him. And so like, yeah, that's the thing, is if you're in that and then you're here, you cannot heal this correctly. But if you come to a place of understanding this when you're here, then you're going to be able to heal. You're going to be able to show, like when you're in a mentality of, okay, nothing's ever going to be better and everything is horrible, my life sucks. That's what you're going to be shown. It's like the law of attraction. That's what the universe will show you, is they'll show you, you know, you're right. There's a lot of things in your life that suck. But if you're in the mentality of, you know what, there's more for me out there. There's more for me. And the universe is just waiting for me to start seeing myself in the same light, you know, Spirit, God, universe sees me. And when you do that, then they'll show you, okay, well, here's this, and here's this, and here's this. Oh, hey, did you notice this? This is pretty amazing too. And more blessings and more abundance will come in your life. So if you're in this place, it's really kind of dangerous if you're going back to it all the time, if you're not here about it. So you really need to get to where you're starting to see that you're worth more and that there's more for you than just what meets the eye or what you've been in before. Like it's like she's touching it. It's like she's reaching. Well, wait, she's touching. Okay, so her hand is in the water. She's going into the water to touch this. It's like she could be scared. What about the water? Like it's not the same realm as her. But instead she's putting her hand in the water to touch this. It's like she's diving in. It's a matter of actually like saying like, I understand things might get messy as I'm getting, you know, going through this healing. I understand I'm going to be shown truths and things about myself that maybe are hard to take, or maybe I didn't realize. And being so excited and trustful in the opportunity, in like having faith that this is all for your good, that you can only be brought to a higher place in yourself in showing you. It's almost like if you show somebody things, like negative things, not negative things, but you know, show somebody things like, oh, did you know when you did this, it was because of this heart, blah, 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 blah. I mean, I'm not saying that's the way you approach people, but if you do that with people, if someone is like in a really dark place with themselves, when you show that, all they'll see is they can't do anything right. And look, it's all the way down to their heart. How are they going to change that? But if you show that to somebody that's in a place of like possibilities and wanting to better themselves, when you say that to them, they'll look at themselves and they'll be like, oh, wow, I'm so glad I have that new information, because that'll actually help me heal this area. And, you know, once they realize if that's true or not, but if it's true, you know what I mean? So that's what it's being in the heart to actually accept the truth that you're shown, even if it shows you that you were wrong in the past. Basically being in a heart to forgive yourself, to where when you're shown how you were wrong, it's not just a jumping off point in your mind to beat yourself up. That's what it is. Like, you love yourself and you're trusting in the universe loving you, that when you're shown different things, you get excited by that opportunity for growth and healing. And sometimes it might not be immediately. Sometimes you hear it and you'll be like so in shock about what you heard that you might not feel so excited right away. It depends on your personality. But regardless, your inner heart, once that hits you, it's like, okay, now I have this to work with, and this will actually shed light on the rest of the things I'm dealing with. So I'm really glad, you know, having that gratitude mentality will show you this light or this vision, this view of things, of the hardships and even the good. Well, not, but you know what I mean? The good that's to come, so that you can actually do that in yourself as well. Like, that's what's going to heal you, is having that mentality, or that's what's going to allow you to be healed in that when you come to these circumstances, when you do the shadow work, when you delve in. I hope that's resonating for you guys. That's always my intention, that you guys see these readings, get these readings right when you are going to receive it the most. And, you know, sometimes it's not during the actual battle itself. Sometimes it is. It depends on who you are and how, you know, you work in that way. But yeah, my intention is that this helps you and it sheds light in your life and helps you in healing from past wounds and pains and everything you're going through right now, and just helps you grow and be your best self in love, to where you enjoy it just as much as you want other people to enjoy it. But yeah, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. If you have already liked, comment, or you know what I mean. If you've already subscribed, thank you. That really helps my channel grow. Commenting helps it grow. I can see, you know, what you guys want, what people are responding to. And if you haven't already, I suggest that you do. That way you don't miss out any of my content. I'm doing a lot more pick-a-pile readings as well. And so yeah. But yeah, I will see you next time.